Hi, hello everybody. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So it's finally happened. It's taken a while, but the diesel SD1 is now in the unit. I was going to start her in gear and drive it in, but I thought it'd be a bit more graceful if I towed her in and take over with the Range Rover. I didn't want to damage the alley wheels or have any mishaps where, you know, I've driven many a thing with the clutch depressed. But anything that's as rare as this, I wouldn't want anything to happen. So in this video, we're just going to check the condition of the engine. Obviously, I know that it runs a bit rattly, I would say, but it's probably as much to do with oil not circulating. But I wanted to see what kind of condition the rockers were in. I'm not going to gap them in this video. It'd be a bit pointless gapping it now. I've blown it off with the air compressor. I'll get to get rid of as much of the alley canker from the top. I've broken loose all the bolts that hold the rocker covers in place. In terms of getting parts for these engines, for anybody that's interested or has a diesel SD1 or a Range Rover Classic, the parts for these aren't actually that hard to find. I was aghast at just how easy it was to get hold of the parts. In fact, one of the engine companies that I do quite a bit of dealings with, they have a brand Bonfire new one on the shelf. It's got no ancillaries. It's just a bare engine, but it's brand new. It was brand new in the 80s, obviously, but it has never been fitted. So if anybody's got one that's sent a rod for the block or blowing the bottom end out, just leave a comment and I can forward you on to that company. In the unlikelihood that anybody wants to make a replica diesel SD1, this was me, by the way, for a few years. You can source these engines pretty easy. They're not common by any stretch of the imagination, but there's always 2 or 3 for sale on eBay, or in classic car jumble sites on Facebook. Funny enough, you see quite a few of these out of SD1s, out of diesels, out of narrow boats, generators and such. But so if you want to put one of these in, there's a nightmare to it. This is why I didn't end up going down that path. So this is the parts for the 2-piece bell housing on them. Rimmer Brothers and A1 parts, they don't have them. They're obsolete, and they literally are obsolete. No Range Rover, military surplus, nobody has them. So that one is the plate that bolts onto the back of the engine. Most of the engines that you see for sale second-hand have them on it. It's this piece that's the nightmare, and those are the part numbers for them. If you can find one, you've done better than me, but I've been looking for them for about 2 years, and you just cannot get that bell house. In terms of the LT77, I believe that it's the same box as what's in the 2300. But don't quote me on that, but any old LT77, I guess, if you wanted to, you just stick it in there if you're making a diesel replica. But that is a bit of a pain in the arse there. The slave cylinder is the same as the 2600, by the way. So next we'll crack these rocker covers and see what kind of condition the tops of the engines are. Now these older diesel engines generally breathe quite heavy, and well, early turbo diesels get blow by. This done 69,000 miles. Excuse me. This has done 69,000 miles, and to my experience, they've not been very well maintained through that time. Generally, they do blow quite, they do suffer with blow by. As a few people have pointed out, she was last MOT'd in 2008, I think it is. And on that MOT, well, she failed 1 on 2 or 3 pages of failures. They got the work done. But it still passed, but it was smoking. So I imagine that this is probably going to be quite dirty. But that's it. We're doing this together. I haven't seen this yet. Wow. no venting fumes built up in the top. Ooh. So it doesn't really matter about any of this shit getting in there, because I'm not starting it again. I'll be whipping all the heads off. I'll be getting them pressure tested, because these are prone to cracking, I believe. And I want to use her as a daily at the other side of this. It'd be novel to have a diesel over a V8. So as I say, I'm not going to bother gapping them. Everything's pretty tidy inside there. So that's number 4, I believe. It'd be interesting to see what the sump pan's like. So I will be taking the engine out and I will be tearing it down. Well, I don't know if I should fully rebuild it or not, but... Oh wow, look at that. Look how clean she is. It's incredible. I swear I've not cleaned it or anything. It's not got, you know, I've seen lesser mild engines with more canker, more sludge built up around them. It truly is incredible. Sorry, I got a bit of a runny nose. It's I got cold over the past few days, swapping an engine in a Citroen Relay. So that one was quite easy to take off. So yeah, look at it. You'd think that somebody had parts polished that. Oh dear. For anybody interested, it shouldn't be wiggling about like that. But this engine didn't sound terrible, but it had a bit of a rattle. But I wouldn't mind betting that's probably what it was. I was lucky there. Could have jumped off the push rod. I wonder if it's broken the grommet off the bottom. Yeah, look, the oil's got like a... So, well, I dropped the oil in it, but... Oh yeah, the grommet's still there. Quite crazy, it doesn't have a locking washer on there. It's got a... No, it's not a washer that's stuck to it, it's just machined of a ring on the bottom. You have to be careful about that as you're driving down the road. You'd almost want to check them on a pretty regular basis. Apparently she was parked up running because the previous owner died. That is disturbing. I have to keep an eye on that. Vented a little bit more in this one, but it's incredible. It's been well maintained throughout its life, this has. Just look at it, you know. As I say, I'm not going to bother gapping them, but that would obviously produce quite a rattle, that would. Well, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I couldn't be happier, really. Like I said, I've been looking for one of these for close on a decade, if not a decade. Ever since I heard that they made a diesel SD1, I've been curious about them. And I'm still blown away. It brings a smile to my face looking at her. I can't thank the man enough for allowing me to buy, because there was quite a lot of interest in the car. And we were quite local to each other, but he made me very, very happy. So, this is your accelerator. This will lead up along here, and then it goes behind the header tank and it'll head down to the pedal. And this one is your choke cable. So I'll try and keep it as steady as I can for you. and it'll lead on to here, and that'll be for your cold start. So no, it's not a Rover V8. It's not a choked car converted to a diesel. It is genuinely meant to be there. Although speaking to a few people that have had them back in the day, they seem to say as they can't remember that theirs did have a choke cable on it. To be fair, if this one started after sitting for 18 years of half a turn, maybe they don't really need it that much. Don't know. The other 2.4 that I've got in the Range Rover, that starts half a turn in all conditions, no matter what. So yeah, that's a bit of a look into the condition of the engine. Suppose anybody that's curious, you have a look at this for a turbo. Very old-fashioned style turbo, all bolting together. I haven't checked the condition of the turbo as of yet, but again, I can source parts for them quite handy. But as strange as this is, I want to keep as much of this car original to it, so I'm just going to get the turbo reconditioned. It may not need it, it may need it, whatever. I'm just going to get it reconditioned, so I do plan on putting some miles in it. In terms of next steps with this, I'm going to get the wire brush out, and this is good point for anybody that's got a classic car or is thinking about getting one. When you get whatever it is, and if you're going to start doing work on any part, not even necessarily a classic car, it's just good principle on anything, and it saves you a lot of mither, makes the job 10 times easier. Get your wire brush out, wire brush everything, you know, wire brush them all, and then get some penetrating fluid and spray them. If it's a project car, take your time with it. You know, a snap bolt can mean 2 weeks of searching for that particular part, or paying a machinist to come and extract a bolt. You know, it can get expensive, and all it takes is just a bit of time and perseverance. In terms of using heat, yeah, you can use a butane burner or whatever to get heat, but naturally just be very careful if you're anywhere near any ball joints or anything rubber or combustible. This, I can imagine, if I was to heat up anything here, there's that much shrubbery still underneath here that it'll burn everything away. So the next part will be, I'm going to get 5 litres WD-40, I'm going to jack her up, and everything's going to get lubed up, because I'm going to strip her right back. I'll take the engine out. Basically, I'll turn her into a rolling shell. I'll extract the engine and gearbox, take the radiator out, etc. Take this bonnet off. Primarily it's the seats in these, because these can be a bit of a pain in the arse to get the seats out of. That's where your patience really pays, and using heat isn't really an option because these things burn quite easy. I've never burnt out an SD1, but I did have a Morris Marina GT for many a moon ago. I had one that I was knocking about in. I bought one for the interior, and more the fool am I heated up a bolt, and well, that was it. She burnt out. Also, to anybody that's going to drag one of these things out of the field, this is something that has never happened to me, but it has happened to somebody I'm friends with. So you can put the batteries on. I was very cautious. They call it a smoke test with computers when you stick power to them. If you smell anything that smells a bit strange when you put the batteries on, instantly disconnect it. Make sure you've got a fire extinguisher or plenty of water to hand, because it is very, very rare for them to overheat on an earthing point, but it can happen, and there's no stopping that kind of a fire. With the engine and box out, I was contemplating, you know, while I'm removing the dash, just checking to see the electrics on everything. So I'll take the dash out, I'll check the earth points. The earth points are located in both sides. There's a massive bundle of earths. There's 2 places here, 2 pens with an ungodly amount of earths. They're a bit of a nightmare to get back in when you get the dash in. And then there's the same, but there's not quite as many earths on that side. And I think that there's a couple of them that sit in the middle. But I'll clean all them earths off throughout the whole car, and I'll see what does work on her. You know, with everything, you know, the roof lining off. So if I do have any, anything getting hot, I'll be able to tell. But in terms of it, as I said in the previous video, nothing electrical works on this. The clock comes on every now and again. The rev counter, which isn't actually electric, that flickers from time to time. The headlights don't work. Nothing works on it. And as I say, I'm sure it's just earthing. It could be mice in the loom, but I highly doubt it for the very fact that she did start with the key, but you never know. So yeah, that's the update on the 2400 SD. I expect some pretty regular videos on her now. She's in the shed. Most of the parts now have come for the GEMS V8 manual conversion that I'm doing, so there'll be some updates on her soon, because I do aim to have her on the Rover at the end of the month. It won't be having a full respray immediately, because as I say, she has got a bit of a job to do, she has. But I'd like to keep, you know, I seem to notice I wander towards the end of the videos and I drift onto other projects, whereas this is dedicated to the diesel one, my dream car as it was. If anybody wants to follow this project, if you wouldn't mind liking, and please do subscribe. As I say, I'll be posting more videos about her. I'll be tearing it completely to pieces. This one will be getting a bare metal respray. As I say, as daft as it sounds, everybody thinks V8 SD1, and I've had my fair share of them over the years. That's pretty cool. But for me, this is the dream one. I always wanted to have one. It's a strange car to really desire, because it's not the most powerful. It's not very flattering being a diesel. I must admit, being a child, having SD Turbo written on the back was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what's going to happen with her. Yeah, so, well, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for everybody watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.